So today we'll be diving into how to pick one liquidity pool over another when we're searching through liquidity pools, seeing multiple options, etc. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pools picked out, and I wrote down all 5 of these pools on a document, and I'll be taking notes about each one to help me make a more data-driven decision. So in this video, I'll be using Metrics Finance, which is the best software for finding liquidity provision opportunities and also simulating our returns to see what type of money we could be making on our crypto assets. I'll leave a link in the description where you can claim a free trial to the pro version of the software so you can try it out on your own. Anyways, I'll go ahead and launch the app. And if you're excited for me to show you how to make data-driven decisions in DeFi, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss an upload. So we can go to the Discover section at the top and start scrolling through which pools we want to look at and dive deeper into. Now I already have 5 pulled up, so I don't have to do this step, but if I were you, I would go ahead and select exchanges that you are interested in, already have knowledge about, etc. So you can select like Uniswap, Radium, Velodrome, Aerodrome. Then you'd select which networks you want to look at. For example, you could select Ethereum, Solana, and Base. And then once you filtered it down to the exchanges and networks you want to look at, you can add some other filters such as fees APR. You can look at pools that have higher than 20% fees APR, for example, and you can filter with some other things. But for now, let's look at the pools that I have pulled up. So first of all, we have wrapped ETH to link. And for every simulation, we can go ahead and look at the past 20 days of data. Because what's really cool about metrics is you can change your calculation range. So for example, you can look at the past 100 days of data, the past 50 days of data, or even the past 20 days of data. So we'll do 20 days of data. And right off the bat, we can see the correlation of these assets. So the correlation of a wrapped ETH to link using the past 20 days of data is 83%. And if we were looking at this pool over on Uniswap where it's located, we would be missing out on crucial information such as the correlation of these assets. So it's really important that we're using Metrics Finance for this video. Scrolling down, we can see more information such as the volume history. We can see the fees per day along with volume per day. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor by any means. I'm just showing you my opinion and showing you this tool. So make sure to do your own research. So let's go ahead and find a range. So we want to go with a moderate range. We don't want to go with something super tight that's showing very high APR. Like for example, if we set our range to 126 to 152, we'll be showing about 75% yearly APR on metrics, but we could slide out of range pretty easily. So let's go and look for something wider. Let's go with, let's just say 122 to about 156. We're looking at about 57% APR. So for all these simulations, I'm going to try to use a range that is somewhat broad, not super tight, because I don't want you guys going out of range very soon when entering the position. So first of all, let's make a row for correlation. And then we'll have that here. Then we'll make a row for APR. Let's go ahead and have that here. So remember, the correlation for wrapped ETH to link was about 83%. We have that here. And the APR was looking at about 57%. So we can add that here. Then let's go ahead and add another section called stable volume / fees. So that's here, the stable volume history and fees. So here, is it stable? Yeah, we're looking at about 15K or 19K a day in fees, going down to 12. And then we're at about 20K for the max. So overall, it's pretty stable. We're not seeing days with 8K in fees. We're not seeing days in 10K with fees. So we can go ahead and write yes for this. Now we can go ahead and look at wrapped ETH to Uni. So we can do the same thing. Right off the bat, we can look at our correlation based on the past 20 days of data. It's showing 93%. That's solid. So we can write 93% for our correlation. And then let's find a range that is somewhat broad. So on the last pool we were looking at negative 8% min price and plus 17% max price. So we can do a similar calculation here, but I can even go tighter on the max price, it looks like. So we're looking at about 55% APR. So I'll go ahead and write that here, 55%. Then let's look at the volume and fee history and see how stable it is. So we're seeing days with 20K in fees, then dipping down to 7K, then 20K. We have a day with 73K in fees. There must have been an event or something going on that day, which caused it to spike. And then 8K in fees, 5K in fees. So I'd say it's somewhat stable. It's up and down. So I'll still go ahead and write yes for stable volume and fees. Sometimes when we're looking at pools, we'll see days with extremely low volume and fees, and that's a big red flag for me, but I'm not really seeing it here. Also, make sure you're looking at pools with solid amounts of TVL. You probably wouldn't want to look for pools with less than a few $1 million in TVL, so keep that in mind. So now we're going to look at USDC to Sol. So now let's go here, look at the correlation. Now, let's write NA for correlation, because think about it. USDC should not be correlated to Solana because USDC is a stable coin and Solana moves. So if Solana is going up 20 bucks, USDC shouldn't be moving. So now let's look at the volume and fees. Now we're having a lot of fees per day. Look, here we're showing over $266,000 a day in fees. So let's go ahead and change it to the 20-day calculation range. We're still seeing a ton of money in fees and volume per day. So I'd say this one is very stable and a big green flag. So I'm going to go to yes and then just write the plus for like an extra green flag because it's looking very solid. And then for APR, let's go ahead and find our max price and min price. For the min price, I'll probably go with like 113, and then max price, I'll go with about, let's just say 155. We're looking at about 109% APR, 110%. So I'm going to go ahead and write that here, 110%. And then wrapped ETH to MKR. Let's look at this. Scrolling down, we're seeing some lower correlation, 67%. So again, it's very nice. We have this tool Metrics Finance to catch these things such as low correlation. So we can go here, write 67%. Wait, that's using the 30-day calculation range. So we can change it to 20. Let's go ahead and do that. And now we're looking at about 35% correlation, even lower. So when we're looking at the past 20 days of data, we're only getting a 35% correlation. So I'll write that in here. And then we can go to APR and let's find our range. So I'm going to drag this up a bit. Let's go to about, with 1.2 to 1.8 range, we're looking at about 43% APR. I'll go ahead and write that in here, 43%. And then for stable volume and fees, let's see. So we're doing 5K a day, then it's going up. We're showing about 19K, then it's going down. It's pretty stable. We're having some days that have like 4 times more, 5 times more fees than others. But overall, we're not seeing any super low days. So I'll write like yes minus. So hope you kind of know what I'm doing because they're all stable volume and fees. But this one was like the most solid and this one is the least solid so far. So I wrote the minus and plus just to show. And then these yeses are just in the middle. So now we can look at the wrapped ETH to MKR again. But this one was the 0.3% fee tier. So I'll put the 0.3 and this one is the 1% fee tier. So we can go here, go to the 1% one. And when we go to the past 20 days of data, they should be showing the same correlation. Yep, 35. So we'll go and type in 35% for the correlation again. Now we can look at range. I'm probably going to go with the same range because it's the same assets. So if we're looking at 1.2 and then 1.8, let's see what it's showing. It's showing roughly same APR. This one's showing 43.4. This one's showing 43.5. So pretty much the same thing. All right, 43% again. There we go. And then let's see the volume fee history. Wait, look, it went from 700, 400, 700 a day in fees to over 20K in a day in fees. This is very inconsistent, so I'm going to write no. So here we have an overview of the assets we looked at. We can see which ones have solid correlation, solid APR, and solid stable volume to fees. Now, right off the bat, after looking at this, it seems like USDC to Solana is the clear winner here. I am entered into this pool, by the way, over on Orca, and it's really cool to see that pool has won this little challenge video I did. And remember, this was all possible thanks to Metrics Finance, since I was able to zoom into these pools and read data about them. So make sure to claim the trial to the pro version of the software using the link in the description down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss an upload.